Hello, dear students. Today I am going to perform an activity about understanding the various types of solutions. We may understand the saturated and unsaturated solution. We may understand the dilute solution and concentrated solution. For that, we have three beakers: beaker A, beaker B, and we have beaker C. We have distilled water with us. So, using this distilled water, we will perform an activity. We have three watch glasses. In one watch glass, we have few crystals of copper sulfate. In another watch glass, we have one spatula full of copper sulfate crystals. And here we have some extra copper sulfate crystals which we will use during the activity. Now, these are the requirements. We have an arrangement of doing the filtration whenever it is needed. We have few filter papers available with us so that we can perform a process of filtration. We have a glass rod. So using this glass rod we can mix whenever we want to mix it. Now we shall start the activity. First we need to add 50 ml of water to each of the beaker. So I shall measure it using this. I'll use this beaker to measure 50 ml of water. So I'm going to add 50 ml to this. Yes, this is 50 ml water that I'm going to add into beaker A. Then again I shall fill it 50 ml. This 50 ml I'm going to add to the beaker B. Then I have another 50 ml of distilled water. You can see easily. This 50 ml of distilled water I am going to add to beaker C. Now please remember, I have three watch glasses. In watch glass 1 I have few crystals of copper sulfate. These few crystals of copper sulfate which are less than the one spatula full of copper sulfate that I am going to add into beaker number A. Then I have the one spatula full of copper sulfate which is there present in beaker in watch glass B that I am going to add to beaker B. And I have a huge amount of copper sulfate that I am going to add to beaker number C. Now I shall mix each beaker or the mixture present in each beaker with the help of the glass rod. You can see now there are no crystals available in this solution, and thus the mixture has been prepared. We have added a few crystals of copper sulfate into this beaker number A. That is what we can understand. Now I have the another beaker B. In this beaker B I have added full spatula, a spatula full of copper sulfate that I am going to mix it. You can see the solution has got little more color of the solution is more blue, and here we again have our solution ready. See, this is now we have our beaker A and beaker B ready for us. Now I'm going to mix the copper sulfate and water present in beaker C. See, I have been mixing it well. Now you can see a kind of solution that has been prepared, but you can still see some of the copper sulfate crystals which are present here in the solution. So when we actually add this copper sulfate crystals to this beaker, now no more copper sulfate can be dissolved in this solution, but still we will add some amount of copper sulfate and we'll check it out if we can dissolve the more amount of copper sulfate or not. That is what we are going to check. So we shall add few more crystals of copper sulfate into our beaker number C. See, I have taken few crystals of copper sulfate that I am going to add into beaker number C again, and then I am going to mix it well. See, I am going to mix this copper sulfate crystal and we'll try to dissolve them. Let me take some more if possible, and we shall try to add them or we shall try to mix them. We'll have to mix them until no more copper sulfate crystals can be dissolved. So we have added crystals of copper sulfate into it, and we can now see that easily that these crystals have not been dissolving at all. So we have huge amount of crystals of copper sulfate available with us. Let me even try with some more. Let me add a good amount of copper sulfate to the same, and let me check it out. See, I have a huge amount of crystals that are present into the solution, and we have been trying to dissolve them. Let us add some more. See, now we have a solution. You can see the copper sulfate crystals at the bottom, and we are trying to mix them. They have not been mixing now, and we have these crystals of copper sulfate lying at the bottom. Now no more copper sulfate crystals can be dissolved into this solution. We have a good deal of copper sulfate crystals present at the bottom. So now the solution, let me try little more if I can add and see. I'm going to add an extra spatula of copper sulfate and we'll try to see if it can dissolve or not. Yes, now no more copper sulfate can be dissolved and we have all the copper sulfate lying at the bottom. So my dear students, this is the kind of solution that has prepared, that in which in beaker C now we cannot dissolve any amount of copper sulfate into this solution. I have a filter paper. I'm going to filter this solution so that we can get a particular kind of solution which is known as the saturated solution. So we'll have a saturated solution present with us into this beaker. I have an extra beaker to collect the filtrate here. I'm going to add this solution into for filtration. You can see the crystals of copper sulfate which were lying here. Now you can see that the filtration process has been started and we will have a perfect saturated solution of copper sulfate with us as a filtrate. So we'll see it later. Until now we'll discuss about this. Now you can see that here in beaker B we have a solution where we have added the one full spatula of copper sulfate. Here we have a solution in beaker A where we have added few crystals of copper sulfate. When we compare these two, you can easily identify or you can easily see that beaker B has got more amount of copper sulfate than compared to beaker A, and that is why in beaker B we can say that this is the concentrated solution of copper sulfate, whereas the solution that is present in beaker A is known as the dilute solution of copper sulfate. You know, these two terms, dilute and concentrated, are the relative term, that when we do comparison we can understand these terms, or else we cannot say for a particular solution that this solution is concentrated and this solution is dilute, but we can say only when we compare two solution, and then we can finalize that the one solution is concentrated whereas the another solution is dilute. Now you can see that here we have B is a concentrated solution with more amount of copper sulfate and A is the dilute solution with less amount of copper sulfate. But now if I compare this B with this beaker C which I have got, now if I compare this solution with beaker B solution, then I know that there is a more amount of copper sulfate present in this beaker as compared to this beaker. So now this is concentrated solution and this is a dilute solution. So that is why, but when I compare B with A, B is concentrated and A is dilute. When I compare B with C, the C is concentrated and B is dilute. So B is dilute when compared with C, but B is concentrated when compared with A. Now if you look at this solution is saturated solution. It is a kind of solution in which no more solute can be dissolved, but these two solutions which are present in beaker A and beaker B are called unsaturated solution, because if we want to add more, or if we add more copper sulfate crystal to this solution, they can be easily dissolved into it. So this is what it is known as the saturated solution, whereas these two are called unsaturated solution. So this is how we can understand the various types of concentration of solution, my dear students. Hope you are enjoying your studies. Happy learning.